Hi, fourth graders. Our next lesson on reading is to notice what the characters say and do to understand their relationships with each other. If you pay attention to what the illustrator draws, the looks on their faces, and the dialogue between characters, how they speak to each other, and then what the author writes too, you can learn about how the characters feel about each other and how they can relate to your life. So I'm going to start with Ruth and the Green Book, and I'm going to look at pages 7 and 8, and I want you to pay attention to the looks on the faces and what the author says and how they talk to each other. I was tired when Daddy stopped the automobile. I asked Mama where we were, and she said we were going to spend the night in a real hotel. We watched Daddy talking to the man behind the desk. Daddy was smiling and pointing to us, but the man shook his head and turned his back. Daddy came back out and slammed the car door. He never slammed the door before, so I knew he was mad. I wondered what happened, but I knew somehow it wasn't a good time to ask him. Mama gave me a look that said, "Ruth, just keep quiet." So that's what I did. Now let's start by looking at the characters' faces. Ruth looks like she's just kind of lost in her own little world, but you could remember from the reading that she sounded kind of excited when Mama said they were going to spend the night in a real hotel. So maybe she had never done that before, and that's always fun to do. But look at Mama's face. She looks worried to me. She's got those wrinkles between her eyebrows. She doesn't look excited. She looks worried. Maybe she knows something that Ruth doesn't. When we look at Daddy inside the hotel and the man, Daddy looks like he's trying to maybe explain, maybe convince the clerk to give them a room. The man at the hotel, to me, looks kind of stubborn. He's got a frown on his face. He's not looking at Daddy, and he just looks like there's no way he's going to let them have a room. Now, when Daddy comes back out and slams the door, Ruth says to herself, he never slammed the door before, so I knew he was mad. She's inferring there. Whenever you draw conclusions about things by what you see, that's inferring. And then Mama gave her a look. She didn't actually say this, even though it's in quotes, because it said, Mama gave me a look that said, Ruth, just keep quiet. So Ruth knows that Daddy's mad. Mama looks worried. It's not a good time to ask questions, but she doesn't really understand yet what's going on. Let's look at another example of characters' relationships in the book Ma Dear's Aprons. This is the story with just the mama and the little boy. Again, look at the pictures, look at their faces, and then listen as I read. Then it's bath time. Ma Dear puts on an over-the-head gray apron. She pours hot water into a round tin tub. David Earl flaps his arms, splashing water everywhere. Look, I'm a big fish. You're a big mess, Ma Dear says. Just look at my floor. She pours in more hot water and gives him a good scrubbing from head to toe. Are you going to hang me out to dry like a sheet? I should, Ma Dear answers with a gleam in her eye. But instead, she adds, I'm going to tickle your toes until you can say, Jack, wick, whack, stick, ball, a smack. Tick-tack, mick-mack, skip, scat, jack. Between giggles, David Earl tries to repeat the tongue twister, but he can't say it fast enough. I give up, he cries, gasping with laughter. Ma Dear dries him and herself with her big gray apron. Come now, have a slice of apple pie. All right, if we look at their faces, they both look happy. He's laughing in the tub. Mama, to me, looks like she's kind of teasing him a little bit. When she says, "You're a big mess, just look at my floor," we can tell that she's not really mad because she says it with a gleam in her eye down here when he says, "Are you going to hang me out to dry like a sheet?" She answers with a gleam in her eye, which means she's just kidding around. She's not really mad about cleaning up the mess. It seems to me like they have a good relationship. David Earl is very comfortable with her. He laughs and they joke around and they have a good time. And their dialogue too is just, they're laughing. He says, I give up. They're joking around. And so they're very comfortable with each other, like a mama and a son should be. Let's look at one more example in Better Than You. This one we read a long time ago. And if you remember, this is the one where his one friend was always thinking that he was better at everything than everybody else. This is towards the end of the story. And take a look at the faces again of these two boys. This one looks like he's kind of concentrating on his guitar, and his face looks very much like, oh, I want to learn from him. I wonder what he's doing. Now let's look at what the author wrote. Nico and I took turns teaching each other different throws and ending up talking about all kinds of stuff. I found out that Nico just got a guitar for his birthday, so I offered to teach him to play. He thought that was a great idea. You know what? I have a feeling that Nico and I are going to be really good friends. All right, and it looks like they might be, doesn't it? It looks like they're kind to each other and patient, and they feel like equals. They understand that each person has his own talents. So when you're reading, always fourth graders, pay attention to the pictures. If your book has pictures, pay attention to the dialogue or what the characters say to each other. And also pay attention to the clues that the author gives you as to how people feel about each other and get to know them as real people. So pay extra attention when you're independent reading to notice the relationships between characters. All right, see you next time.